Have you ever been told that eating fish keeps your heart strong and your brain sharp? Well, that's only true for some fish, not all of them. What if I told you that a few common kinds of fish, the ones many seniors eat every week thinking they're healthy, could actually raise your risk of stroke almost overnight? This is a truth most people don't know, and it's time you do. Before we dive deeper, make sure to subscribe to BioLustra, because what you are about to learn might protect your heart, your brain, and even your life. Every year, more than 800,000 Americans suffer from a stroke, and according to the American Heart Association, one of the hidden causes in adults over 60 isn't sugar, salt, or even red meat. It's the wrong kind of fish. Some fish are filled with omega-3 fatty acids that protect your heart and calm inflammation, but others, especially those high in mercury, salt, and industrial toxins, can silently do the opposite. They can make your blood thicker, raise your pressure, and damage the delicate walls of your arteries without you even feeling it. I once met a 68-year-old man who proudly said he ate fish every day because it was good for his heart. But one day, his blood pressure shot up, and he was rushed to the hospital with stroke symptoms. Doctors found that his favorite fish, which he thought was helping him, was actually loaded with mercury and sodium. Instead of helping his heart, it was slowly damaging it. That's why this video is so important. In the next few minutes, I'll show you 10 common types of fish that can secretly raise your stroke risk. And I'll also reveal the safer and smarter options that will truly protect your heart and brain. Some of these might surprise you. And one of them could even be sitting in your freezer right now. So stay till the end, because this knowledge could literally save your life. Let's start with the first one, farmed salmon. For years, salmon has been called the ultimate heart-healthy fish. Doctors recommend it, dietitians praise it, and seniors across America eat it often, grilled, baked, or smoked, believing they're doing the right thing. But here's the surprising truth. Not all salmon is healthy. The salmon most people buy at the grocery store today, farmed salmon, is nothing like the wild salmon found in clean natural waters. In fact, farmed salmon can harm your heart more than it helps. Here's why. Farmed salmon are raised in crowded tanks and fed an unnatural diet of grains, soy, and fish oil pellets. This changes their entire nutrition profile. Compared to wild salmon, farmed salmon has up to 5 times more omega-6 fats, which cause inflammation inside your arteries, and more saturated fat, which raises bad cholesterol. But the most dangerous thing is pollution. Farmed salmon often contain high levels of PCBs, industrial chemicals banned years ago that still linger in fish feed and water. These toxins build up in the fat of the fish, and when you eat it, they can slowly collect in your body too, damaging your blood vessels, thickening artery walls, and increasing your risk of heart attack or stroke. A large study in environmental health perspectives found that farmed salmon had 8 times more PCBs than wild salmon. Another report from the European Food Safety Authority warned that eating too much farmed salmon could increase your risk of heart disease, cancer, and memory loss over time. I once had a 67-year-old patient named Richard who ate salmon 3 times a week because his doctor told him it was heart healthy, but he was eating the farmed kind from the store every time. After 6 months, his inflammation markers had gone up instead of down. When he switched to wild-caught Alaskan salmon, his results improved quickly. So, the truth is, salmon isn't the enemy. It's where it comes from that matters. To stay safe, always choose wild-caught Alaskan salmon, especially sockeye or coho. They live in clean, cold waters and have far fewer toxins. Avoid farmed Atlantic salmon, especially if the label says color added, because that pink color often comes from artificial dyes, not natural nutrients. And if you love smoked salmon, go for wild-caught low-sodium versions. Too much salt in smoked farmed salmon can silently raise your blood pressure, a direct trigger for stroke. The bottom line, salmon can be your best friend or your worst enemy depending on its source. So the next time you see that bright pink fillet on sale, look closely at the label. If it says farmed, your heart might thank you for leaving it on the shelf. Most people don't realize that not all canned tuna is as safe as it looks. In fact, eating the wrong kind or too much of it can slowly raise your stroke risk without you even knowing it. The biggest problem starts with mercury. Tuna, especially the large types like albacore or white tuna, can carry high amounts of mercury, a heavy metal that builds up in fish as they grow older. When humans eat it, it doesn't leave the body quickly. Instead, it stays inside, slowly collecting in the brain, heart, and blood vessels. Over time, mercury can harm the thin lining of your arteries, making them stiff and more likely to clog. It can block blood flow to your brain, raise your blood pressure, and even disturb your heartbeat. A well-known study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that people with higher mercury levels had about a 60% higher risk of dying from heart disease, even when they were eating fish regularly. You might think, but I only eat tuna once or twice a week. That sounds safe, but the truth is, mercury doesn't disappear overnight. It adds up little by little. For seniors whose bodies remove toxins more slowly, even small amounts can build up to dangerous levels over the years. And mercury isn't the only issue. Sodium is another hidden danger. Most canned tuna, especially those packed in brine or oil, contain 300 to 500 milligrams of sodium in just one serving. That's nearly 1/4 of your daily limit in one small can. Too much salt pushes up blood pressure, which is still the #1 cause of strokes in older adults. Things get worse when people mix tuna with mayonnaise, pickles, or white bread for sandwiches. That salty, oily combo becomes a perfect recipe for artery damage. I remember meeting a 70-year-old man named George who proudly told me he had stopped eating red meat and switched to tuna for a healthy heart. He had a tuna sandwich every day for lunch, but one day his blood pressure spiked and doctors found high mercury levels in his blood, along with early signs of artery thickening. When he replaced canned tuna with sardines and wild salmon, his mercury levels dropped in just a few months and his blood pressure started to stabilize. So what can you do to stay safe? Limit canned tuna to no more than once every 2 weeks, especially the albacore or white types. Choose light tuna packed in water. It's made from smaller fish like skipjack that have much lower mercury levels. Always check the label for sodium and try to find no salt added or low sodium versions. Even better, mix up your meals with other options like sardines, wild-caught salmon, or mackerel. They're rich in omega-3 fats and naturally low in mercury. The truth is simple. Canned tuna might look harmless, but over time, it can quietly damage your arteries and brain. You don't need to stop eating it forever. Just eat it wisely in moderation and replace it with safer, heart-friendly fish whenever you can. Many people think of swordfish as a classy, healthy meal, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Swordfish is one of the most toxic fish in the ocean, especially dangerous for older adults. It's a big predator that eats smaller fish for years, and in that time, it collects large amounts of mercury, often 20 to 30 times more than small fish like sardines or trout. The FDA has listed swordfish among the top 4 most contaminated fish, alongside shark, king mackerel, and tilefish. For older adults, this is serious. Mercury in swordfish can harm your artery walls, making them stiff and narrow. It also interferes with brain function, causing dizziness, memory loss, or confusion, symptoms that many people mistake for normal aging. On top of that, mercury increases oxidative stress, which is the kind of slow, hidden inflammation that causes clogged arteries and strokes. A study in the Journal of the American Heart Association showed that older adults with high mercury levels were almost 70% more likely to have a stroke or heart problem than those with lower levels. I once had a patient named Robert, age 71, who loved swordfish steaks. He grilled them twice a week, believing he was avoiding red meat and doing something good for his heart. But over time, he started feeling shaky and forgetful. Tests showed his mercury levels were 4 times higher than normal. Once he stopped eating swordfish, his symptoms slowly went away. The issue with mercury is that it doesn't leave the body easily. It can stay inside for months or even years, especially as we age. The safest choice is to avoid swordfish completely if you're over 60 or have high blood pressure. Instead, eat smaller, cleaner fish like sardines, anchovies, trout, or wild salmon. They're full of omega-3 seconds, but much lower in mercury. If you enjoy rich, meaty fish, try mahi-mahi or Pacific halibut instead. They taste great and are far safer. And if you've eaten swordfish regularly for years, ask your doctor for a mercury blood test. It's simple, affordable, and can tell you a lot about your real health risk. Swordfish might look like a fancy meal, but it's a silent danger to your heart and brain. The same qualities that make it rich and thick also make it one of the most contaminated foods in the sea. The next time you see grilled swordfish on a menu, think twice. Your heart deserves something safer. Then comes king mackerel, another fish that seems healthy but can secretly damage your brain and arteries. At first glance, king mackerel looks perfect for heart health. It's oily, full of omega-3 seconds, and said to lower cholesterol. But here's the hidden truth. King mackerel is also one of the most mercury-contaminated fish in American waters. Mercury levels depend on how long a fish lives and what it eats. And king mackerel lives a long time feeding on smaller fish. Over the years, it builds up large amounts of methylmercury, the most dangerous form for humans. The FDA strongly advises seniors, pregnant women, and children to avoid eating king mackerel completely. Why? Because methylmercury attacks both the nervous system and the cardiovascular system at the same time, a deadly combination for older adults. It inflames your arteries, raises blood pressure, and damages the cells that keep your vessels flexible. In your brain, it affects neurotransmitters, causing memory lapses, tiredness, and poor coordination, symptoms that can look like early dementia. A study in the New England Journal of Medicine showed that people with high mercury levels were up to 70% more likely to suffer a stroke or heart attack. I remember a man named Harold, 74, who started eating grilled mackerel twice a week after a friend told him it was good for his heart. After a few months, he felt dizzy and forgetful. His doctor discovered that his mercury levels were more than 3 times the safe limit. When Harold switched to smaller, low-mercury fish, his symptoms slowly disappeared. The truth is, not all mackerel are bad, but king mackerel should be completely avoided, especially after 60. The confusion about mackerel mostly comes from the fact that there are different kinds of it. King mackerel is the large type, and it's full of mercury, so it should be completely avoided. But smaller ones, like Atlantic or Spanish mackerel, have much lower mercury levels and can be eaten safely in small amounts. So what should you choose instead? The best options are small, oily fish such as sardines and anchovies. These little fish are full of omega-3 fats, which protect your heart and brain, and they contain almost no mercury at all. You can also eat wild-caught salmon or trout. They're excellent for your heart, memory, and overall energy. Atlantic mackerel is another safe choice, but always make sure the label says it's wild-caught and low in sodium. The truth is, not all fish that are called heart-healthy are actually good for you. King mackerel might sound fancy, but it's more like a toxic trick. It gives you omega-3s with one hand and poisons your body with mercury from the other. So if you really want to protect your heart, brain, and independence as you get older, skip the big, contaminated fish and go for smaller, cleaner ones instead. Many older adults also enjoy smoked fish because it feels light and flavorful, but it hides a serious danger. Smoked salmon on a bagel, smoked trout on toast, or smoked herring with crackers might look harmless, but these foods can raise your blood pressure and increase your stroke risk, sometimes in just one night. The main issue is salt. When fish is smoked, salt isn't just used for taste. It's used to preserve the fish and stop bacteria from growing. This process leaves the fish loaded with sodium. Just a small 3-ounce piece of smoked salmon, the size of your hand, can contain 600 to 800 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly half the entire daily limit recommended by the American Heart Association. Imagine eating that for breakfast, then having soup for lunch and a sandwich for dinner. By the end of the day, your body has had double what your arteries can safely handle. For older adults, this is especially dangerous because too much sodium makes the body hold on to water, which increases blood volume and puts extra pressure on artery walls. Over time, this can lead to high blood pressure, stiff arteries, and strokes. But salt isn't the only problem. The smoking process also adds chemicals like nitrates, nitrites, and PAHH, compounds formed when food is smoked at high heat. These chemicals can cause inflammation, oxidative stress, and a higher risk of heart disease and stroke when eaten regularly. A 2020 study in the Journal of Hypertension found that older adults who often ate smoked or salty fish had a 43% higher risk of developing high blood pressure and nearly double the risk of stroke compared to those who ate fresh fish. I remember speaking with a 69-year-old woman named Margaret from New York. She loved her morning bagel with smoked salmon and cream cheese, believing it was a light, healthy breakfast, but her blood pressure kept rising to 145, then 150, then 160, even though she avoided fried food and red meat. When she switched to fresh-baked salmon instead of smoked, her numbers dropped within weeks. So here's what you can do. Enjoy smoked fish only once in a while, not every day. Check the sodium label before buying. Some brands have over 1,000 milligrams per serving. Rinse smoked fish under cold water for a few minutes before eating to wash away some of the extra salt. Choose grilled or baked wild salmon for your regular meals, and if you crave that smoky flavor, use a few drops of liquid smoke or sprinkle smoked paprika on your food instead. The truth is, smoked fish isn't bad because it's fish. It's bad because of what's added to it. For seniors already taking blood pressure medicine or watching salt intake, it can silently undo months of progress. So enjoy it as a treat, but remember, when it comes to heart and brain health, fresh is always better than smoked. Another type to watch out for is fried fish and fish sticks, which might be the most common trap of all. Most of us grew up eating fried fish, golden fillets on Fridays, fish sandwiches from restaurants, or frozen fish sticks from the store. It's crispy, tasty, and seems lighter than fried chicken or burgers. But the truth is, fried fish is one of the most dangerous ways to eat it, especially after 60. It's not the fish itself that's bad, it's what frying does to it. When fish is coated with batter and dropped into hot oil, the healthy omega-3 fats are destroyed by the heat. The fish then soaks up trans fats and damaged oils that cause inflammation, raise bad cholesterol, and lower good cholesterol. The crunchy coating traps sodium and refined carbs, turning what should be a healthy meal into a recipe for clogged arteries and unstable blood pressure. A massive study in the Journal of the American Heart Association followed over 100,000 adults for 20 years and found that older people who ate fried fish more than once a week had a 48% higher risk of stroke and a 37% higher risk of heart failure compared to those who ate it less than once a month. That's nearly half again the risk, just from a weekly habit. The oil used in restaurants and frozen fish sticks usually comes from partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, the main source of industrial trans fats. Even when the label says 0 grams trans fat, small amounts can still be there and build up in your body over time. I once met a retired couple, Bill and Susan, both in their 70s. Every Friday they go out for a fish dinner, crispy, golden, and fried. Bill had high cholesterol and Susan had mild hypertension. Within 2 years, Bill had a small stroke and Susan's blood pressure hit 165/95. When they stopped frying their fish and switched to baked or grilled versions, their numbers went back to normal. Bill told me, "I wish I had known earlier that the way we cooked it mattered more than what we ate." That's exactly the lesson here. You don't need to give up fish, you just need to cook it differently. Avoid anything deep fried or labeled crispy or breaded. Bake, grill, or steam your fish instead. It keeps the omega-3 seconds and avoids bad oils. If you want crunch, coat it with oats, almond flour, or crushed flax seeds before baking. When buying frozen fish, look for wild-caught and unbreaded options. Also, check sodium on the label. Many frozen fish sticks have over 500 milligrams of salt per serving, enough to raise blood pressure overnight. The truth is, fried fish might look healthy, but once it's in your body, it behaves like junk food. If you really want to protect your heart and brain after 60, skip the fryer and enjoy the natural taste of fresh, simply cooked fish instead. Your heart will thank you every single meal. Most of the cod you find in stores today isn't wild or clean like it used to be. The cod fillets sold frozen in big supermarket packs are usually farm-raised. These fish live in crowded tanks and are fed artificial pellets instead of the small fish and shellfish they would eat in nature. Because of this, the fish end up with higher fat levels, mostly omega-6 fats that trigger inflammation, and lower amounts of omega-3 seconds, the healthy fats that protect your heart. That means the cod you think is helping your heart could actually be working against it. Farmed cod also sometimes contains traces of antibiotics and antifungal chemicals used to treat the water in fish farms. Over time, these substances can strain your liver and quietly affect your heart and blood vessels. I once met a 70-year-old man named Mr. Peterson, who proudly told me he had switched from beef to cod to protect his heart. But when we checked his blood tests, his inflammation markers were surprisingly high. The reason? He had been eating breaded, frozen, farmed Atlantic cod almost every day. Once he switched to wild-caught Pacific cod and cut down on processed fish, his inflammation levels dropped noticeably in just 3 months. So if you enjoy cod, here's how to keep it healthy. Always pick wild-caught Pacific cod, usually from Alaska. It's cleaner, leaner, and more sustainable. Avoid breaded or frozen cod labeled as Atlantic or farmed because those are often full of sodium, additives, and low in nutrients. Cook it gently. Baking or steaming helps preserve its protein and prevents healthy fats from breaking down. If you buy it fresh, make sure the fish has clear eyes, firm texture, and a mild ocean smell. These are signs of quality. One more thing to remember. Many fish oil supplements come from low-quality farmed cod liver oil, which can contain the same toxins as the fish itself. Always read the label and look for wild-caught cold water sources to make sure you're getting a clean product. The truth is simple. Atlantic cod is no longer the clean, heart-healthy fish it once was. It might look pure and white on your plate, but it can carry hidden fats and pollutants that harm your arteries over time. If you want the benefits of white fish without the risk, choose wild Pacific cod or haddock. Because when it comes to your heart and brain, purity still matters. Another popular choice, especially in the South, is catfish. For many people, catfish is part of family tradition. Crispy fillets, cornmeal breaded and fried golden brown, served with hush puppies or fries. It's comfort food, it's culture, it's nostalgia, but today's catfish isn't the same as the clean wild fish your parents used to catch from rivers and lakes. Most catfish sold today, whether fresh or frozen, come from large fish farms, not natural waters, and that changes everything. Farmed catfish live in shallow, crowded ponds, sometimes thousands of fish in 1 acre of water. The oxygen levels are low, the water is murky, and the fish are fed cheap grain-based pellets made from corn, soy, and animal byproducts. They grow fast, but lose their natural nutrients. Compared to wild catfish, farmed catfish have more omega-6 fats and fewer omega-3 seconds, which leads to inflammation inside blood vessels. They also have more saturated fat, which can raise bad cholesterol and may contain residues of antibiotics or chemicals used to control bacteria in the ponds. For older adults, this combination increases the risk of heart disease and stroke. A study in the Journal of Food Composition and Analysis found that farmed catfish had up to 4 times more omega-6 fats than omega-3 seconds, a ratio strongly linked to high blood pressure and stiff arteries. Another report by the U.S. Department of Agriculture showed that catfish ponds in warm southern states often collect ammonia and nitrites, substances that can cause oxidative stress and blood vessel inflammation when eaten regularly. I once spoke to a man named Larry, 72, from Mississippi. He'd eaten catfish his whole life, usually fried or blackened. After a mild stroke, he couldn't understand why his arteries were so clogged since he rarely ate red meat. When we reviewed his diet, we discovered it wasn't just the catfish, it was the farmed kind and the way he cooked it. When he switched to baked, wild trout, and sardines, his inflammation dropped in just a few months. If you love catfish, and let's be honest, many people do, here's how to make it safer. Avoid farmed catfish, especially imported from Asia. Look for labels that say wild caught or us. Farm raised without antibiotics. Skip frying. Instead, bake or grill catfish with olive oil, lemon, and herbs for great flavor without bad fats. Eat it with vegetables rich in potassium and antioxidants like spinach or broccoli to balance sodium and support your heart. And if you crave that crispy texture, coat the fish with crushed oats or almond flour and bake it. It'll still have crunch, but no harmful oils. The bottom line is clear. Catfish might be a southern favorite, but the modern farmed version can quietly harm your arteries. It's not just about taste or memory. It's about making choices that protect your future. Every meal you eat either strengthens your heart or weakens it. Choose wisely. And finally, sardines. Many seniors keep them in their pantry because they're cheap, tasty, and known for being full of omega-3s. You just open a can, grab some crackers, and you're good to go. But not all sardines are as healthy as they seem. The way they're packed, what oil or liquid they come in, can completely change whether they help or hurt your heart. The good news is, fresh sardines are one of the healthiest fish on earth. They're rich in omega-3 fats, vitamin D, calcium, and protein. They're small, which means they have almost no mercury, and they help keep arteries flexible and blood pressure steady. The problem begins when sardines are processed, salted, or packed in unhealthy oils. A single can packed in brine or cheap vegetable oil can contain 400 to 600 milligrams of sodium or more. Those oils, like refined soybean or sunflower, are high in omega-6 fats that cause inflammation. Some imported brands even contain traces of preservatives or BPA from the can lining, a chemical that can interfere with hormones and damage blood vessels. So the very fish you eat to protect your heart might be silently raising your blood pressure and thickening your blood. A 2021 study in the European Journal of Nutrition found that people who ate high-sodium canned fish more than twice a week had a 40% higher chance of developing hypertension compared to those who ate fresh or low-sodium fish. I once met a 76-year-old woman named Doris who loved sardines. She ate them straight from the can 3 times a week, always in oil and with crackers. When her blood pressure suddenly rose to 160/90, she was shocked. She thought she was eating healthy, but when we checked her sardine cans, each had more than 500 milligrams of sodium. When she switched to sardines packed in water and ate them with vegetables instead of crackers, her blood pressure returned to normal within 2 months. So here's how to enjoy sardines safely. Pick sardines packed in water, not oil or brine if you prefer them in oil. Choose ones packed in extra virgin olive oil, not vegetable oil. Rinse them gently before eating to wash off extra salt. Avoid flavored types like mustard or hot sauce. They often hide more sodium and preservatives. And eat them just once or twice a week. The truth is simple. Sardines can be one of the best or worst foods for your heart, depending on how they're packed. The right kind can lower your stroke risk. The wrong kind can quietly increase it. So next time you reach for a can, take a moment to read the label. Your heart and your future depend on it. It only takes a few seconds to read the label, but those few seconds could protect your arteries, your heart, and your blood pressure for years to come. Now you've seen it yourself. 10 types of fish that millions of Americans eat every week, believing they're doing something good for their heart, when in reality, some of them might be quietly doing the opposite. The truth is, not all seafood is created equal. Fish can be one of your body's strongest protectors, but the wrong ones, those packed with mercury, salt, or industrial oils, can silently raise blood pressure, damage arteries, and increase stroke risk without you even feeling it. But the good news is, you have complete control by simply choosing the right fish, like wild-caught salmon, trout, anchovies, or sardines packed in water. You can still enjoy delicious, satisfying meals that actually support your heart, brain, and long-term independence. Because it's not just about avoiding a stroke, it's about living stronger, thinking clearer, and staying active for the moments that truly matter. It's about waking up each day knowing that every bite you take is helping your heart beat longer and healthier, giving you more time with the people you love. So next time you're in a grocery store or looking at a restaurant menu, stop for a second and ask yourself, is this fish feeding my heart or fighting it? That one small choice could be the line between losing years and gaining them. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to BioLustra and share it with someone you care about, because the right knowledge doesn't just save lives, it extends them. Stay strong, stay curious, and stay with us. Because in the next video, we'll reveal the 5 best fish to protect your heart and brain after 60. And trust me, number 2 on that list will completely surprise you.